Doctor, a bunch of other doctors, and it was a really great trip. We talked about a lot of great stuff happening in healthcare and a lot of the dilemmas happening in healthcare. So what was really cool is that there were about 40 different doctors out there with us. And from everywhere from what they call themselves recovered medical doctors. Um, because they've found out that necessarily doing what the medical profession is recommending to them isn't necessarily healing their patients. So they've got to a point, there were quite a few that are out there learning functional medicine, doing what we've been doing with the Pampa Group for quite a while. And so I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of highlights of that. Um, Also talk about some of the testing we did. We had the opportunity to go to Systemic Formula's new lab. Shane Morris is the biochemist in charge. His grandfather, um, Dr. Wainwright, actually formulated so many of these amazing formulas back in the 70s. And I'll talk a bit about that in a minute. But what was really cool is that we were able to tour the new lab and actually find out about the process of finding out whether or not the supplements that you're taking are actually have in them what they say they do. You'd be surprised what we found out about a lot of the different type of supplements out there around the world that really are more dangerous for you to take than they are to leave on the shelf. And they gave some examples the in the independent lab we went to where they test for number one heavy metals like mold and aluminum, mercury, cadmium, all these different type of things, tin that get in the food sources that we consume. These things get into the food, they get into our body, and they create a lot of havoc or damage to our endocrine system and or hormone system or to our health in general or detox system. So we were with about 40 doctors, several medical doctors, chiropractors, biodentists, some brand new biodentists in Southern California that actually go all the way up into cleaning out bad root canals that cause things called cavitations that can actually make you very, very sick. And they're hidden infections that you just they go undiagnosed by most people in the profession because they don't know that they're there. So people with real chronic disease that nobody's been able to help, you've exhausted Western medicine and maybe even several alternative practitioners, then this is actually telling us that there is a hidden infection. So, at any rate, we were at this third-party clinic where we were lucky enough to walk through it with some of the scientists. We were completely garbed with, white gowns and masks and hair bonnets and foot bonnets, and it was very cool. They would walk us through these machines and explain that this one actually had an assay for heavy metals. So, in other words, they'd send light through these particular substances and it would be able to determine based on the reflection of the light what actually element it was, or through sound and resonance, what element it was. I'm probably not giving the specific technology enough credit or understanding, but the result is pretty amazing. They can find things like arsenic, they can find glyphosate or other heavy chemicals that are in these substances that you're buying off the shelves, and no more the wiser. And they said that oftentimes different companies will send their vitamins in to be checked, and oftentimes they're not very happy with the results. Um, but whether or not they change their formula or they change their process to getting really healthy supplements versus contaminated ones, who's to know? But the company we were with, Systemic Formulas, who Shane Morris now owns and acquired it from his family and his grandfather, who's now passed. They have an amazing new facility. We got a chance to walk through there, all the clean rooms, the temperature control, humidity control throughout the whole warehouse. And they walked us through the process of how they gather the different products from where they get them. Then they test them all third party before they even come into the building to make sure they are what they say they are. They're not contaminated, the potency's there, and then only then are they put into production so that we can consume them. Now, systemic formulas is probably one of the only chem, or, industries out there or companies that really scrutinizes this productivity to make sure we're actually getting what we know we get. A lot of the companies, I hate to say, especially the big box stores, they don't have this kind of process to evaluate whether or not the material is healthy or not. So it was really great to have the opportunity to do that and to see um, what is going into the products. Then we got another great opportunity to go to another production company called Coconut Colt. Now, if you've ever heard of Colt, you can get it on the shelves in some of the health food stores. We walked through their whole plant. They're now having to keep up with productivity. They're opening up a 300,000 square foot plant to keep up with the demand for their yogurt. It's called Coconut Colt Yogurt. And we got walked through the plant and why the microbiome in there, why the bacteria in this particular yogurt is so healthy and strong and alive. And the guy who walked us through was explaining how so many um, of the microbiome in those products is dead by the time it gets to your shelf, and explained, what actual types of processing will damage the microbiome. Like you can't do it in stainless steel, that will kill it. You can't do it in plastic, that will kill it. Can't have it too high or too low, that will kill it. So everything they do is in glass because glass can't leach anything into the product. And then they put out 200,000 bottles a week of this coconut colt yogurt, where you're only supposed to eat 2 tablespoons because that's enough to repopulate your large intestine so that your large intestine can have the correct microbiome in there to process your food. Then we had the opportunity to um, go back to the Systemic Formula Company, where Dr. Shane Morris walked us through some of the newest research in microbiome and talking about the bugs in the gut and how they connect and communicate with every other organ and cell in your body, how the bugs in your brain communicate with the bugs in your gut, and how we are so programmed by these microbiome that we typically will eat 8 different foods on a regular basis because the microbiome are so conditioned to want to eat that particular food, it's going to send a signal to the brain having you desire that particular food, be it a healthy food or a bad food, a healthy oil or a bad oil. Most of us have these colonies of very unhealthy bugs in our gut that are demanding that we eat the food they want to eat and they're used to um, consuming. So we went through the different types of bacteria that can help burn fat, burn protein, burn carbohydrates, and what they need is a prebiotic, what is necessary in your digestive system for those particular bugs to take residence. And a lot of the bugs in our gut are transitory. They pass through our digestive system and pass out of our body so quickly that if we're not putting them back in, we're not replacing the microbiome culture that we need in our gut. That's why so many people have leaky gut or inflamed gut. I mean, one of the reasons. And that, that is the leaky gut, and all this is the result of prior toxicity, and which killed the healthy microbiome. There's so many microbiome that are extinct in our body anymore that would normally be there. For instance, there was bacteria in our breast milk that the baby would get within the first 6 weeks of um, nursing that are now missing these bacteria. Mom does not carry them anymore, and it's very huge on helping the kid's immune system and his ability to digest certain proteins. And it's gone. It is no longer an existent on the planet because it's been systematically poisoned out of us. And different type of substances kill these or overcome them with their own strain of less than friendly bacteria. And this ends up damaging our whole immune system and the baby's ability to grow and thrive correctly because they don't have the right microbiome in their gut that they need to have in order to break down the nutrients and the fats and the proteins from mom's milk. So these kids are getting some of the substances from mom's milk, but they can't necessarily digest it all because the kids are not getting inoculated with the right microbiome that would come through mom's breast milk. And speaking of that, some of the things we know that the difference between bottle feeding or formula feeding and breastfeeding is that the human being in the species is so advanced that whenever a baby latches on to mom's breast, there is a communication between the baby and the mom. Perhaps it's through microbiome that is communicating to the mom what that baby is lacking. So then immediately that mom's breast milk is going to become um, full of the nutrients and substances that that baby's requiring. So it's kind of a pretty amazing computer system where baby latches on, everything the baby needs is in mom's body, but only the things that are being required for that specific kid at that particular feeding are going to be present in the milk in a perfect world, right? But we've got so many heavy metals and molds and hidden infections and chemicals affecting the mom that this system breaks down and then it goes across to the baby. This is one reason that we have 50% of our children have some kind of chronic disease or autoimmune disease, where it used to be 2 to 3% when I grew up in a century ago. So anyway, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum and McCollum Wellness Radio, and we are talking about my trip back to Park City this weekend to meet with 40 other doctors. Um, uh, they call themselves reformed medical doctors because they gave up the prescription pad in and replaced it with functional medicine understanding of the needs of the body so that the body can do what it's supposed to, and that's heal. And the body has this incredible innate intelligence to heal. You cut it, you have damage to an organ or various things like that. Somehow or other, your innate intelligence gets the right things there and the right cells there, and those stem cells can become any part of the body. Well, the same way that that works inside your body, breast milk is going to feed the infant what it needs on a daily basis. Let's say the baby gets exposed to some kind of virus and its immune system is weak. Your mother's going to put that baby's mother is going to inoculate that baby with breast milk with the right kind of autoimmune issues or the right white blood cells to potentially fight off that mechanism. So we can't second guess this with formulas and stuff. One formula feeds all. It just doesn't work that way. Now, a lot of kids get by with it because, 80% of the kids are going to be relatively healthy. It's that 20% fringe that are going to have the problem. So we just have to make sure that we know how to help those fringe kids. But remember this, you grow up as grows a tree does, so grows the as grows a stick, so grows a tree. So in other words, you have a tree that's growing bent as a little teeny tree, it's going to grow up bent. But the sooner you can correct that as it's growing, the more healthy and straight that tree will be. So it's so important that we understand what we need to do to help the children get the right nutrients they need to build strong bodies. Um, we were told growing up that Wonder Bread helps build strong bodies 12 ways. Well, we're still wondering what 12 ways that was, but that was another century and another pretty bad white bread. And went along with PF flyers that made you run your fastest and jump your highest. I don't know how it helped you do that either. Or why sugar frosted flakes was the breakfast of champions. However, we listened to that and we went out and did our made sure our mom got us PF flyers and did everything that news media told us we needed. So at any rate, I was talking about this uh, coconut Colt yogurt, and we had a chance to tour the plant, and we had a chance to sample a lot of the different flavors yogurt, fresh, amazing stuff. They told us eat only 2 teaspoons, or we're all heading back to one of the doctor's house for an evening dinner, and they said, if you eat more than that, you guys are going to be trouble. You're going to have trouble at that house, so you might as well let the guy know that you're going to be using the bathroom a lot. Because when you get the right microbiome in your gut, it's going to increase the transit time in your digestive system. And so going back to Shane Morris and systemic formulas, he was talking to us about the microbiome. And the reason we went to the yogurt plant is because of understanding what is in our gut is going to affect our long-term and short-term health. The microbiome in our gut, which we can get good stuff from yogurt if it has any live bacteria in it, and you'll be surprised how many don't. But this thing is each spoonful's filled with billions of live bacteria or microbiome, which is what we need, and it gets into the gut. Now, remember, it's transitory, so this stuff is going to do its job and then get pooped out, basically. So you do want to have a lot of this on a regular basis. A lot of you might be thinking, oh, well, I take microbiome. I take something with, acidophilus and bifidus in it. Well, here's the deal. You should have about 150 different strains of bacteria in your gut, not just two. So if you're taking the same probiotic over and over and over again, you get what's called a very long monoculture. In other words, a whole bunch of one and not enough the other. And the thing is that one bacteria is only able to digest a certain type of product. You don't realize that you need different types of microbiome to digest different types of protein, different types of oils, different types of carbohydrates. There's a plethora of and breadth of them that allow us to eat the right, break down the right food. We were talking about organic food and some of the things put on organic food and whether you should wash your food and if so, with what. And Shane Morris, which I'm going to have on the radio show here in a few weeks, was talking about, yeah, don't overwash your organic vegetables. Just rinse them with water. Sometimes we hear, oh, you got to put them in this or that and, sterilize them with hydrogen peroxide or this or that. He goes, the problem is with that is that those plants are covered with organisms. They're covered with microorganisms, and we need those microorganisms to help digest the food correctly. So, we should not be afraid of microorganisms. They are what allow us to survive on this planet. We would not be able to digest anything without microorganisms in our gut, and or we would not be able to thrive without these different type of microorganisms that are actually helping our body function correctly. So when you go to the farmer's market and you buy different uh, foods, each booth you go to, that soil has a different type of microbiome in it or a different strain of maybe the same family of microbiome. But we need a diverse amount of this microbiome. So what they're recommending that you do, and we've been recommending this, and Dr. Pompa does, and even Shane Morris says, is if you're going to the farmer's market, don't buy from the same farmer every time. Move around and buy from other farmers. Why? Because you want the various microbiome that you might find in farm A that farm B doesn't have a lot of. And it's not only the microbiome, it's the minerals in the soil. You know, all different parts of the land have different elements based on, the evolution of the planet. We know that people back east in the north, like the Minnesota place, they don't have iodine in their um, soil. So a lot of them are iodine depleted, which will affect the thyroid gland because you need iodine in order to help make the active form of vitamin T3 or vitamin T3, the thyroid hormone. So, you know, we may, back in the day before they knew this, a lot more problems were up there in the Northwest because these people did not have the elements in their body to make the organs or the endocrine system function well. So, when we look at the health of the large intestine, and again, I will have Shane Morris on here soon. We're waiting for one new test to come out, which I'll explain in a minute. But when you're looking at the health of the microbiome, you know that the microbiome, which are the bugs in your gut and surrounding your whole body, every nanometer of space on your skin is covered with microbiome. When we were told to wash our hands or use that sterile stuff on it, which I never did, the squirt bottles, it not only kills the bad germs, but it kills the healthy ones that are on your skin. And your healthy microbiome covering your body is there to wipe out the bad stuff and protect you from the bad stuff. So it's there on purpose. When you kill everything, the bad opportunistic stuff has a better chance of getting a foothold than the good stuff has to reproduce fast enough to protect you. So don't break down your good microbiome with that, whatever that stuff is you put on your hands, that it sanitizes everything. It actually does a bad job for you. It's not healthy for you. Now, if you need to wash your hands with soap and water, go for it. But using something that's going to kill any microbiome on the planet when you use it is not a good thing. So, when we look at some of the biggest health issues in our country, we're talking about chronic inflammation and usually at the gut. So when your body has, you've heard of dysbiosis or um, colitis or endocrine, or not endocrinitis, but um, Crohn's disease, uh, all these different conditions or named conditions of the large intestine. It's basically telling you one thing. The bugs that are supposed to be in there went away a long time ago, and you've got unhealthy, opportunistic anaerobes, we call them because they don't like air, in your gut, and they've colonized the areas in your large intestine where the good guys should have been. And this causes so much toxicity inside your colon because these guys eat the stuff coming that you're feeding it. And rather than poop nutrients that your body should digest, they poop bad toxic mycotoxins that cause more inflammation inside the gut and also open up the wrong doors or big doors from your colon into your blood supply, the enteric system. And then those toxins in the blood get to your cells, to your brain. They cause cellular toxicity and they can cause a lot of problems for your body. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, the McCollum Wellness Radio, and I'm going to take a short break, and I will be back in just a second. Hey, everybody who's not on the radio. This is Dr. McCollum coming to you, talking to you from McCollum Wellness Radio. I don't know why my headphones aren't working for this, but I can see it's on the air. Ah, there we go. Had a lot of technical difficulties today when I got in here. It took me a few minutes to get the radio up and running. And now that it is, I'm having a hard time hearing the commercial that I'm playing on the other part of the station. But, one of the things that I know is that nobody can help you make a decision to be healthy except you. I have so many times that spouses, husbands and wives, or significant others, or family members come in with a patient that is losing the quality of life for various reasons. And inevitably, when it is the patient that wants the care, hopefully they will have the support from the spouse. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the spouse will go, no, I don't think you should do it. Let's go back to the medical doctor, take more drugs, whatever their reason is. Well, this station is something's really going wrong today. I see I was playing two commercials at once. I apologize to everybody out there. What is the date today? It's the 14th of July. Holy moly. Anyway, so I'm back and I'm talking about microbiome. And this is live radio, so you know what? Things happen. And today's one of those days. So I apologize for that. Um, I want to get back to the week and my weekend out in Park City. I just got back yesterday. I was there with about 40 different professionals, um, acupuncturists, chiropractors, medical doctors, biodentists, health coaches, functional medicine people. Um, and we were all there for what we call a mastermind. Mastermind is when we all come. We do this a couple times a year, and I've been doing it for almost 10 years with these groups of doctors, and it's amazing because we are all putting everything we have out there, trying to help people become healthier. It's a perfect example is me getting done adjusting patients today, running over here to the radio station, trying to set everything up. And the application wouldn't open. So then I couldn't find my password for the application, of course. So then I had to go reset my password. All of this while the clock is ticking, and I needed to press play and start talking on this radio station. And here I am. Now, we do this out of a love of helping people. And every one of those 40 doctors that was there had an opportunity. We all stood up and said who we were. Most of us knew each other. There were some new people there. Lots of new medical doctors these days. It's interesting. They get fed up with what they've been doing and they want to move over to the bright side, lighter side of life. Um, so almost one for one, as we went around the room, and one of the practitioners would say, here's my name, here's what I do, here's the challenges I have with either my practice or my family or my own health. And a lot of it was very heartfelt, felt that, and as we went around this 40 some odd doctors and from all different professions, one thing I realized is when we go into the office, we put our doctor suit on. We zip it up. All we are there to listen to the other people. They don't know what's going on with us. They shouldn't know what's going on with us. They see us as a safe haven, hopefully somebody they can trust and somebody that they can um, give us the information to find out whether or not we can help them or not. But it was very interesting to see this with all of these powerful, very successful doctors, you know, and they zip up that doctor suit and then it's not that you hide behind it because that's your professional person. When you're being a professional, you're being that, a professional. You don't talk to people about other issues that you have going on with your health or life. So um, we all unzipped it. We could just see us just unzipping this doctor suit, stepping out as just you or me. And I will say this, but I don't mean this example. It's almost like, you got the doctor. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You go and open the screen behind him, and there's the guy. In that case, the wizard just wanting to get home. In our case, we have that professional doctor stance to let people know we want to find out whether we can help you or not. And so that's what I tell patients when they come in the first day I see them. I go, hey, you're here because of your knee or your back or your digestive system or whatever. I read through your file. I've thank you for being so thorough. So we're going to sit down. I'm going to ask you some questions. And by the way, the first thing I want you to know, patient, is if I think I can help you, I'll let you know. If for some reason I don't think I'm the right person for you, I will let you know that too. And I never charge to sit down and talk to people about their health. That's just, you know, what I would expect if I were to go talk to somebody about my health. You don't always get that complimentary consultation. But I found that by the time people come into our office, oftentimes they've been to too many other healthcare professions that may not have the answer. It's not that they're good or bad, they just may not have the answer for them. I'll tell you a very interesting story. I just heard this today at my staff meeting. I was gone Friday. I was out in Utah at this meeting. And one of my staff members said something today at the staff meeting that blew me away. And I'd not heard it before regarding this particular patient. She is a peripheral neuropathy patient. She is a survivor, a cancer survivor. Um, and she's had it at least twice, chemo and radiation down the road, a couple times. It's been some years. And because of the treatment of the radiation and chemotherapy, the nerves become damaged. Then it's number two and three cause of peripheral neuropathy is chemotherapy and radiation treatment. Number one is diabetes. Diabetes is the number one cause of peripheral neuropathy, and it's reversible if treated correctly. They won't let you know that. But she came in Friday. She's been a patient about a week and a half. She had no feeling in her feet at all, none, zip, nada. She went after a few treatments in our office, went to her massage therapist. And the story that I heard from my staff member is that the patient, and the massage therapist started to cry while she was giving her a massage. The reason why is because the patient was saying, I feel my feet. I feel my feet. It's the first time I felt my feet in years. And, that may not seem real. And believe me, it doesn't seem real. She went to her medical doctor the day before she came in, and she told the medical doctor, look, I've been doing this. This is what I'm doing at home. I've got this stuff that I do. I'm going to see this doctor that's doing that, and I can feel my feet. You know what he said to her? That's impossible. That's impossible. She said, I feel my feet. That's impossible. Wow, that's crazy because I wasn't there. I wasn't influencing her. We just did some things to help her body do what it does better than anybody, and that's heal. So if you do enough of the right stuff quick enough, the body can do this amazing, innate, inborn thing, and that's called heal itself. And that's what we do at our office. We help bodies heal themselves by removing interference. Now, chiropractors do that through spinal manipulation or other type of manipulation, might be to different joints of the body or even organs we can manipulate, and that will restore proper nerve function. But what we found and what I've found over the years, and especially with some of the things I was talking about earlier, like not having your digestive system work right by having this thing called leaky gut syndrome, your body will actually not function well. You get toxins that should never be inside your body, inside your bloodstream, attacking each cell, getting into the cell, attacking the mitochondria, turning on bad genes cause chronic disease, and it's a downhill spiral from there. So we know that ways to test for what we call leaky gut. And this is something going back to my visit with Dr. Shane Morris, the biochemist, is that we know that leaky gut will cause all these problems. So one thing that he had us do is we took something called a poo pill, which is a blue dye pill, healthy dye, that you take, and then we look for when it comes out in the toilet. So it's called transit time. How long does it take to get in your mouth, into your gut, and out of your body? That's called a transit time. 18 to 22 hours is ideal. Too quick is not good. So if you eat food and it goes right through you, you're not digesting it and the nutrients are not getting into your body. If you take the pill and it's a day or two or three late, you're definitely causing toxicity in your body because the food that you ate is putrefying in your intestines and it's creating all kinds of bad substances because the bad bugs in your gut are eating that food and turning it into toxic byproducts that is causing inflammation in your gut, which will again cause leaky gut syndrome. And it becomes a downhill cycle where you get more substances coming in through your gut wall into your body, into the bloodstream, getting to the cell walls outside of the cells, splashing those delicate cell walls with toxic chemicals, basically, and they're breaking down the cell wall, causing inflammation in the cell wall. Substances are getting into the cells, 75 trillion of them, getting into the mitochondria and causing damage to not only the genes, turning on bad, unhealthy genes, but also affecting the basic overall immune system of the body. So, this is a pretty interesting mouthful, and I can just say, coming on here today, not having the radio work, the station, I couldn't get it going, had to reset my password, playing two commercials at once. It's one of those days, but I'm going to try to get out to you, the information that you could use to help yourself get healthy. And we're going to be doing a workshop this Wednesday at my office at 12:30. It's free to come to, and it is a class that's going to go over some of the things you need to do to be healthy. So if you'd like to come, you're welcome to call McCollum Family Chiropractic 831-459-9990, and you're welcome to attend. If you know somebody that's sick that wants to come, just check us out. If you've heard about us and not sure who we are, and you'd want to just check out the authenticity of our office, see what our staff feel, taste, touch like, I think you'll be very pleased with our office. Um, but the information will be points on how you can be and stay healthier. And but I want to kind of jump back to uh, Park City this weekend with Dr. Dan Pompa and our cellular healing group. It's kind of interesting. I mentioned what kind of doctors there are, medical doctors. They call themselves converted medical doctors or reformed medical doctors. Reformed dentists that are now biodentists, not putting hazardous material in your mouth that gets right up into the brain. Um, Corrective care chiropractors that aren't just interested in, getting the pain to go away, but help figure out what was causing it in the first place, and then helping your body overcome those barriers so that it can achieve better health. Um, so those are the kind of things that we went over this weekend. It was really great. We do this a couple, three, four times a year. Often it's some clinic in Mexico, like the Stel Simic, Dr. Rafael Gonzalez's stem cell clinic in um, Cabo San Lucas. He's got one in Cabo and one in Cancun. We've been to them. I've been to the Cancun one at least three times and had my own, I had stem cells put in because, you know, as a practitioner, I need to know what it is I'm expecting my patients to do and what they can expect out of the results for that. So I'm very um, exploratory, you might say. We know that we had a person come and talk on air a couple weeks ago. It was talking about plastic. Now, we all know that plastic's everywhere. It's being broken down, it's floating free form in our ocean, in towns bigger than, a state, a big swirling form of plastic there. We get it in the food we eat, in the plastic wrap we use, in the plastic bottles we drink out of. Um, it's everywhere, this plastic. And the nanoparticles are down to 10 nanometers, which is pretty darn small. And then the bigger ones. And we're eating this stuff, we're consuming it. And these nanoparticles of plastic are getting in our body and they're disrupting our endocrine system. They're getting into our DNA, they're getting into our brain, and they're causing a lot of different issues. And now we have a way to test, the first test ever created that can test how much plastic is in your body. It's a blood spot test that you do, one where you might have done them before. You prick your finger and you put it on 4 spots. You send it into the lab, and then from that small sample, they can deduce how much plastic you have in your body. The average American we know already has about the size of a plastic spoon in their body of plastic floating around, or different type of particles of the plastic industry. So these are not healthy. They break down the brain cells. They stop conduction of communication. They get in the way of transmission of communication of neurotransmitters. They get into your gut and they disrupt your gut. They can be responsible for types of leaky gut. So, the more and more we listen to what's going on out there, the more and more we know we shouldn't be eating anything on this planet, right? Don't eat the food. Don't eat the organic food. Watch out for the stuff they put on the food to make sure it's safe. How did they grow it? What kind of fertilizers did they use? What was it stored in? Did you microwave it? You know, what kind of bugs are in it? All of this stuff is becoming more and more and more apparent to us because the social media is putting it out, and we're getting a lot of data on what is healthy and not healthy. So it can seem like Campbell soup, no, organic soup, not Campbell soup, alphabet soup, but you have to learn what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to. It may be hard. I highly recommend that you work with a healthcare professional that understands all of the different things I was going through with you. You need to understand toxic foods. You have to understand basically how the nervous system works, how the hormone system works, how your body detoxifies, so the digestive system and the toxicity components of the body. The musculoskeletal system that propels you, your respiratory system, which is how you get oxygen in the body, the circulatory system, which distributes all the stuff to the body, the elimination system, the auditory system, the visual system. All of these 11 different systems in our body need to be understood and improved to the best of their individual ability based on where you are today. So we can only, when somebody comes into the office, all I got is what you brought me. And some people are in worse shape than others. So and some people can have terrible bodies and feel okay, and their health is fine because their durable body can handle the toxins in the universe and on the planet, where other people can be in a situation where they look pretty good, they look pretty healthy, but their immune system is so shot that one little teeny thing comes into their life and into their body, stress or some type of chemical or bad food, and they're down for the count. So, your resiliency has so much to do with, there's a lot to do with genetics, but your genes can be messed up by toxins. There's a lot to do with being careful of what you eat, but your body's digestive system is already messed up for however many years you've been on the planet or decades. So you have to draw a line in the sand and find out where you are today and what we need to do to help you get healthy. So that's why we do the complimentary consultation, Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. Um, we will be rolling out these tests, like the poop transitory test, so you can figure out, do I have leaky gut or don't I? If you take a blue poop pill, and within 18 to 22 hours, it's the first time you see the poo, blue poo, then we know one thing, your digest about your large intestine. It will help us understand how inflamed it is or isn't. Again, sometimes when I ask people how many bowel movements they have on intake, they say, oh, 3 or 4 a week. If I ask how many a day, they always say one. So if you're in that category, then you of 3 to 4 a week, then you have chronic inflammatory diseases in your body. They're affecting every single cell in your body. They're going to tear down your health if you don't do something about it sooner. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Wellness Radio. Sorry about the bad start today. Hopefully, I didn't lose everybody, and I'm not just talking to dead air out there. But things happen, and this is the first time I've really had this kind of trouble here, doing all this by myself. You'd be surprised to see what I have going. So I'm talking on the radio. I have my computer here going on Zoom. I'm talking to Facebook, and I'm also doing another recording because my staff wants more um, information for me so we can put this out on something called TalkTick or something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to do it. They just put me there. But we're here to help. My goal is to see if we can help you become healthier. Um, I've got my doctor's suit zipped up when you come in. When you see me out in the street, I got my doctor suit off, and I'm just another person out trying to make it go right, having a good time. So feel like you're going to talk to somebody who understands what's going on with you. And I would love to have you come into our office, Dr. Duncan McCollum, 831-320-6586. That's my cell number. See, there we go. Another day. 831-459-9990. Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic, right here in Capitola. And you guys have an awesome day. And go out and get some of that coconut yogurt, coconut cult yogurt, but only take a couple teaspoons. All right. Have a great day. Man.